Yeah, thank you very much, Lisa. Now that we had a good lunch and hopefully some inspiring discussions already, it appeared to me. So it is up to me to, first of all, keep you awake for the next 30 minutes. And by the way, I have a portable mic, so I can walk. And that leads me to the topic, because I have to prompt the question, what can be the role of walking in the processes of design practice and research Martin and Hille addressed this morning. So walking means to bodily engage with a site, we learned that already, and engagement gives rise to ideas. And this is the red thread that runs through the 6 approaches that we are going to discuss after this talk, and that we, of course, will experiment with tomorrow. So here are my questions for today. Who is walking? And why are these people walking? And how to walk in order to design? Well, first of all, we have to realize walking is a trend. People communicate via Twitter and Facebook and tell their walking stories. They walk to work, to school, discuss the walkability of cities, and support organizations that fight to improve it. We rediscover walking as a practice of daily life. There are conferences around the world like Walk 21, reflecting walkability and road safety. Why is that relevant for landscape architecture? Well, these people walk through our object of research, and we might want to walk with them when designing and doing research. Apart from that, there is a number of professionals who walk in order to understand and to create something. Take this map. It shows meltwater channels and frost-weathered bedrocks and stuff like that. It is a scientific map. The geomorphologist Sven Lucas, who teaches and researches at Queen Mary University in London, he drew it while walking. He walks to find out how glaciers grew. Walking or shrink. Walking helps Lucas capture the complexity of a space, of a landscape, and its genesis. And of course, there are the walking artists. This is Richard Long's Cotopaxi Circle, a ring made out of stones rearranged in a rocky plain. Long made the sculpture while walking. The movement of his walk passes into the movement of making the sculpture, so of being creative right away on site. The artist Boris Sieverts, who is here today. Boris, where are you? Last row. He leads groups through urban landscapes, telling them a unique landscape story. The participants of his groups, of his tours, walk from one image into another, linking the chapters of this newly written landscape story. And we have Ralph Fischer here as well. There, in the middle, right in the middle. And he wrote this wonderful book on walking artists, so you might want to use the next break to talk to Ralph about his findings. And even some landscape architects have discovered the benefits of walking for their work. A team of city förster, Börjes van Detten, who is a member of Studio Urbane Landschaften as well, and myself are currently working on a spatial vision for the city of Freiburg. And we walked the city quite a bit in order to discover its secrets and to understand its structure. The team of folk landscape architects that Martin already mentioned this morning walks in order to, they say, perceive atmospheres, to understand processes and structures, and to find ideas. And Alice Foxley, who can unfortunately not be here today, well, fortunately, she cannot be here today because she's kept busy by tiny little Emma, and Emma is not a walker yet, so she couldn't come. But she said that she presented the insight in a great book on walking and designing. So what is that? This is a shape of the walk, how she calls this, and it's the way Alice uses to express her landscape perception during a walk. I think it shows perfectly that a walk can be a design in itself. Alice called her book Distance and Engagement. So for her, engagement is a crucial point when it comes to designing landscapes, and walking is the perfect way to engage with a site. So why are these people walking? When walking, we connect different elements of a landscape. From time to time, we have wide views. The next moment, we focus on a very small thing, like a butterfly, or we taste a perfectly ripe raspberry on the way. While walking, we perceive lots of different situations, and we weave them all together by bodily connecting them. So this is the rather static environment, I dare to say. I hope Volkswagen will agree on that. But if you just imagine that I connect this part of the room with this first row, oh, this is an interesting pen. And then again, if I go here and I see you from this perspective, my perspective changes totally, yours might be as well. And the interesting thing is that I realize that all these elements here are interrelated. So this is very simple, and you might say it's even banal, but it's very crucial that because we have to realize that all these elements are part of a landscape we want to design. So by walking through the Raumgeschehen, as Hille calls it, we orientate ourselves and we connect elements in our minds and with our bodies. Second, apart from orientation, walking means to move. But it is different from going by car or by plane. Walking is a rhythmic way to get from one place to another by foot. And it's not only us moving, animals, people, the wind, moving clouds, sun, shade, the seasons, all that change landscape constantly. So the landscape we walk are in motion, and so are we, which makes the whole thing even more complex. More complex? Really? I think it's only at first sight, because what happens when we move rhythmically is we rhythmize the landscape. Walking rhythmically merges our motion and the motion of the landscape. We become part of the landscape, we become part of its movement, its performance, and that helps to understand it. Apart from that, walking rhythmically merges the motion of our body and our lines of thought. Neuroscientists found out that the longer I walk, the more rhythmic my breathing, the more likely new inner pictures, new synapses, new thoughts. Or in other words, ideas. I think Rebecca Solnit puts it quite good when she says, while walking, the body and the mind can work together so that thinking becomes almost a physical, rhythmic act. Apart from orientation and movement, there is a third thing, which I call intensive bodily perception. And of course, these elements are interrelated. You already got that. Schultz says that we see with our hands, arms, and legs. When walking, we can use our whole body to perceive the Raumgeschehen. You can't see anything from a car. You've got to get out of the goddamn contraption and walk, better yet crawl on hands and knees, over the sandstone and through the thorn bush and cactus, says Edward Abbey. To some of you, that might sound a little extreme. And don't worry, you don't have to do that tomorrow. I think there are not so many cactus in Hanover anyway. But in fact, the bodily engagement is crucial for understanding. And French philosopher Merleau-Ponty says that we are not only observers, but fleshly beings that change the landscape while perceiving it. So the interesting thing is that while walking, we become part of the landscape so that we cannot longer distinguish between object and subject. So me as an observer and subject as the landscape. And this is the state where intuition takes over, or can take over at least. The creative perceptual involvement will be the crucial element in the 6 approaches you will get to know in the workshops. So in a nutshell, orientation helps connecting different elements in our minds and with our body. And we make sense out of what is already there. Movement helps us to become part of the landscape and to create new inner pictures, new synopses, ideas. And intensive bodily perception is a way to explore with the whole body and from time to time to let intuition take over. So if you go on your journeys tomorrow, trust walking. Your engagement, orientation, movement, and perception will help you to understand. It has, or to misunderstand. It has the power to support the findings of ideas. So this symposium is about new pathways in design research, as Martin presented this morning. How can walking and engagement contribute to generating knowledge? First, opening up and perceiving space with our whole body is one precondition what neuroscientists call learning. The intense engagement with the landscape allows walkers to call up visual memories, add new experiences to the implicit memory, and create new images, says Joachim Bauer. When we walk, we gain and connect knowledge that consists of feelings, images, and visions. Walking the landscape is more than an alternative to intellectual knowledge. It is essential to knowing, says Ben Jacks. Ben, where are you? There he is. So, talk to Ben about his findings about that. He's here from Miami. Tim Ingold supports this. He says that cognition should not be set off from locomotion along the lines of a division between head and heels, since walking is itself a form of circumambulatory knowing. In concrete terms, the knowledge generated on a walk can be effective for a research project because the gained insight has direct consequences for the layout of a study, for the next step made, or the next question asked. And this might be the important question. Walking and engagement stimulate and connect perception, new ideas, and eventually interdisciplinary reflection. So walking is the umbrella under which we experiment with the 6 methodologies, and engagement is crucial in all of them. Now, how to walk in order to design. Let me introduce you to the 6 workshops and the scientists and practitioners that will be your hosts. I'm sure you will know all of the methodologies in a way, because they are all practices of everyday life, though they are shifted a bit and adapted for the task of design research. They are all answering the question, how to walk in order to design. Navigating. Navigate with Sigrun Langner and Kanarinka along the connections of designing and mapping. Orientation will definitely play a major role here. If you have a dark blue backpack, this is your group. Anke Schmidt will give an insight in her research on storytelling. Together with Nathan Burr, she will discuss engagement as crucial to link events, characters, plots, timelines, and so on. This is light blue. Playing. The green group, Christiane has the green dress today, so it's very easy to recognize her. There she is. The green group is going to explore the field and create new arrangements. And Christiane Kanya and Binja Verli will be your hosts. Setting out introduces creative starts through engaging with what is in the here and now. And this is with Julia Werner and Saskia Herbert, the yellow backpacks. Intervene with Elisa Serra and Emanuele Braga into the Raumgeschehen and become part of a choreography by moving differently. Elisa and Emanuele engage through performances and change perspectives and perception. And follow Till Krause and me on a strenuous but definitely fun journey and explore rhythmic perception when experimenting with magic German Wandern. All these approaches offer guidelines and rules. These rules are not to restrain you, but to help. If you're an experienced walker, you might not need them. But why not try to find out something new? Maybe you can learn about a different way to walk and to engage with a site. After all, this is about science, so we want to find out and test new methodologies. All the 6 methodologies will also help to express your perception during the walks. It is important to make questions, thoughts, and ideas visible because we want to understand them and exchange and talk about them later. So let me summarize. With the 6 approaches, we want to experiment together with you. We would like to find out if there is a way to produce knowledge on urban landscapes. It is a great chance to have this interdisciplinary international group of experts, professionals together, experimenting on new pathways on design research. But applying the methodologies is crucial to understand and to test them. So your contribution tomorrow is very important. That leads me to day 2, so to tomorrow. And I will just give you a very brief overview that you have an idea what this day is about. There will be room for details and for your questions, your organizational questions during the workshops that will follow up. So each of you got one of these nice backpacks. Actually, not each of you. I just got the information that there are some backpacks left, which means not everybody as you already have one. So please, if you don't, go there after this talk immediately and get your backpack, which means get your group. Most of you probably found out the secrets behind them. So some of you might already have a peek in this wonderful book. And you will find lots of different information in this book that might be relevant for tomorrow as well. Tomorrow morning, after a good breakfast, I hope, in your hotel or wherever you're staying, you might need that breakfast. You will take your backpack, leave your hotel, and take the public transport so that you can reach one of these 6 terminus. They are in this book as well. You don't have to draw this now on your... to one of the 6 starting points. And these are the starting points. The Stadtbahn system is very easy in Germany. It's not very complicated. So from the inner city transport hub called Kröpke, we are in Germany, you can reach the stations, the terminus, very easily. And there is a ticket you got in the entrance, so you are free to roam via public transport. At 9 o'clock, at each of the 6 terminus, there will be a member of Urbane Landschaften just to await you and to wish you a very good walk. They will not know any rule that you discussed today or will discuss today in the workshop. So we're just standing there, friendly, smiling at you and saying, have a good walk. So don't ask them too much questions, just start your walk. After the walk, And the instructions for the walk you will get into in your workshops afterwards. So I will not tell them to you now. Day 2, after the walk. You will arrive at one of the other terminus, or at the one you started your walk. That depends on the specific routes in your workshop. And then you will take the Stadtbahn again back to this venue. And if you have any questions regarding the lines, just ask a workshop host. We are going to await you here at 3 p.m. So from 9 to 3 p.m. there is a lot of time to do your field work. And after a short break, we will start to visualize our experiences in a pop-up meshwork. Why is that? Well, we just learned this morning that it's very important to communicate our findings, but apart from that, it's very important to express them for ourselves, because by expressing them, we understand what we experienced. So this pop-up meshwork is to exactly do that, to express our experiences and to discuss the findings and to reflect the findings with the audience. I can tell you it's fun, although you'd never know what's being up there in the Festsaal at the end. And we are here to assist you. So there are some people in the studio by the Landschaften that already have quite some experiences with these things. And there is this guy you see on the photo, and who is sitting there, third row. And he will be there tomorrow as well. His name is Marcel Hiller, and he's an artist and works as a curator too. And he will just help us to create this pop-up meshwork. And of course, there is the group of the Studio by the Landschaften too. So finally, it gets now much more organizational. I have to tell you where to find your workshop group. So on this same floor, there will be the room 5 and 6. You will find them signposted. And the group playing, so Christiane Kanya, this is the green group, will be there, and the group storytelling, Anke Schmidt, which is the light blue one. Then upstairs, just up the stairs and on your left, there will be the rooms 1, 3, and 4 with the groups navigating, wandern, and setting out. And moving will stay in this room for your workshop. So you might grab a cup of coffee outside, but after that, please go immediately to your workshop room, because there is lots of work to do. Thank you very much. Let's walk.